Level Up is a regular podcast that brings you topics to help you perform at work and in life at your very highest level. Your host is Dan Chiodo, an executive coach, corporate trainer, and author. He is president of Impact Training and Executive Coaching. And now, here's Dan.
Thank you, Jesse. It's a positive day here on Level Up. Well, it's always a positive day here on Level Up, but especially today because we're still talking about positivism. We started last podcast with Larry Berg from Naples, Florida. He talked about that, what it means in a profession, and then what it means in his life for a situation that happened to him. But it's such a great topic. I want to stay on that topic because this seems to be a time when we can't get too many positive things happening. It's just a good time for that. And I noticed the other day, there's actually a part in a publication that they've devoted to good news so that every day you can look in there and see the good things that are happening too. So I guess if you see the day as a good day, it'll be a good day. And if you see it as a bad day, then it's going to be a bad day. But let's switch it over to positivism again. So that's why my guest today is going to talk about that. And I always tell her she has such an angelic voice. I love to listen to it. So today we're going to hear her angelic voice as she talks about her perspective of positivism. So this will be very good. Our guest today actually is an administrator in the field of endocrinology. And so that's one thing she does. But she also has been acting and singing since the age of 5. And now she's assistant directing 9 to 5, the musical at a Midwest theater. So I want to introduce you to her. I'm sorry I don't have any fanfare or orchestra or something like that. But here is Marilyn Marshall. Welcome, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. And how are you? And I'm also really excited to hear that there is a publication or a website or what have you about positivism and a positive attitude. I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, I think it's starting to develop. I see it there, and I think CNN has one now that they just send you out this email blast of what's positive. And I don't know, it just seems to make you happy, and you're always smiling, so I know you're happy. So tell me, what does positivism mean to you?
Oh, gosh, everything. I think that, your perspective when it comes to a positive attitude, how you handle anything that crosses your path, whether it be something challenging or something exciting, no matter what, you need to, I personally choose to be aware and kind of soak in the positive energy of any experience.
That's really good. Well, do you think, when do you think it starts? Does it start at an early age or older? When does it start?
That's a really good question. I think, honestly, I can't speak obviously for everyone, but I think for me it started in childhood. And I decided, or I chose to have a positive attitude and a positive response to things because of my parents. So I sort of, absorbed the energy around me from my mother, from my father, and I chose which one I was going to emulate and to, what I was going how I was going to respond at that time. And so I ended up kind of leaning more towards my mom. My mom had such a great attitude when it came to anything. She had such a positive attitude. And so I kind of emulate her attitude. And that's what I've chosen through my life. And I've chosen to teach that to my son as well.
That's interesting. I think sometimes I always tell my clients, what are those things that you have taken from your parents, let's say, the things that you see them do that you say, I will always do that. And then the things that you see them do that you say, not so much. I don't think I will do that. So do you think we select that way, maybe from parents and others around us, what we want to be?
I think actually, yes. I think that maybe we're not aware of selecting that, but I think that when we're, as kids, we're around our parents, we see how one parent deals with things and how the other parent deals with things, and we just kind of, we kind of move toward that, the energy that is more positive. At least that's what I did, and I can't speak for my sister, but I think she kind of did the same thing, and both of us still to this day lean on each other because we no longer have my mother. So we kind of lean on each other for that, and we're so happy and for what we have and the family that we have and the positivity that we have. So yeah, I think that you can recognize that because clearly as a child you're listening to everything that's going on around you. So I think that you listen to that, you learn that, and then as you're going through maybe your teenage or adult years, you choose how you're going to respond and with what attitude you're going to respond.
Very nice. Very nice. I live here in Florida in the Blue Zone, which one of the places where people live a long time. And one of the things I read today was that they had all these things that you can add years to your life. And one of the things was faith. And it was the biggest. It said that with faith, you're adding like 14 years to your life, more than anything else that there was. So in all of this about being positive, do you think faith plays a part in that?
Well, obviously I can't speak for everyone who's listening. But for me and for my family, faith was a huge part. My father was a minister, and anytime you're in the family, you're in a family of where your father is a minister and you're a preacher's kid or what have you. There are different challenges that come along, and you also, it's you have this whole environment around you of sometimes you feel like you have to be perfect and you don't. And so there's a whole challenge and path and in learning that you don't have to be perfect just because you're a PK or a preacher's kid. But then there's also the path of learning that God accepts you 1,000% as you are, and that faith and a positive attitude are just part of a bigger picture of how you relate to everyone in your life. It can take, obviously I feel like it can take some time to get there. But as far as faith goes, I think for me, that was a huge part of developing a positive attitude. I have a strong faith and I have a positive attitude, and I feel like combining the two of those gets me through.
That's wonderful. That's good. And preachers' children, they're perfect, right? I mean, they never do anything.
Never.
Any stories to share or?
Well, I'd say probably one of them was chewing gum loudly in the second row behind some of the other folks that were going to be, speaking, and not a good idea. Like, note to everybody. So.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And note for our home audience, she came up with a story very quickly there. I wonder if you noticed that. So.
Not hard.
Well, that's great. The other thing that you do, I've heard you sing, again, an angel. I've seen you act. And so tell us about the theater a little bit. What is that like? What role does positivism play there when you're on stage?
Wow. That's an amazing question. I think everything. It encompasses everything. And it's not about performing, and it's not about being on stage. It's simply about sharing the story that you have memorized, developed, what have you, with the audience. It's so important to be able to get that across to the audience and to share that with them, because it could be their first time in the theater ever, or it could be their first time ever hearing that story. So it's vital that, that we share that story with them authentically. And so for me, it is very heartfelt. And when I'm on stage, I'm not me. I'm not Marilyn. I'm whoever that character is. And being that character, I want to give them 1,000% of the character and my heart and my soul, because I really want them to experience the amazing things in theater and music, the whole experience that I've had. I want them to feel at least a portion of that, because it's so awesome.
Wow. Said beautifully. I don't think we always realize what singers and actors do for us, but when they play on your emotions, and when you go to a play or listen to someone sing and it takes you to a different place, that was pretty special. So it's so nice to hear you say that you are playing that role. That's what makes the best actors, I think.
Well, that's what it's meant to do. We are giving a release. We are giving positive energy. We're giving an escape. Mm-hmm. Life's crazy. We all know that life is crazy. Life is challenging, and life gives us all kinds of things to deal with. And so what better than, the vast realm of theater to, give some extra positive energy or a different perspective or a new thought than that.
That's beautifully said. I feel like I'm in the front row watching you right now. And this is a good time where we're going to take a break. So this was the first act of Level Up. We're going to close the curtains just for a little bit, and then we'll be back with more of Level Up after this.
At Express Employment Professionals
in Gulfport, Mississippi,
in Springfield, Illinois,
in Bend, Oregon,
in Champaign, Illinois,
in Corpus Christi, Texas,
in Jersey City, in Fishers, Indiana,
here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission.
A mission. A mission.
A mission.
A mission.
Mission.
We're on a mission to put 1 million people to work.
Thank you to our sponsor. Appreciate that. This is Dan Chiodo, host of Level Up, the place to go when you want to grow. And my guest today is Marilyn Marshall. And we've been talking about positivism, the things that positivism does for your life. So now I'd like to take it beyond that and take it to the medical field, because you're in the medical field, and I'd like to know just how important is positivism there?
It's incredibly important. It's vital. I think that, in my experience in working in endocrinology and working with patients, the first thing we want to do is listen to everything they have to say. We want to hear how they feel. We want to, not just the physical examination is not the only part. We want to listen. We want to hear how they feel. We need to know what meds they're taking. And then, after the physician's exam and all of that, we want to send them out on a positive note, sort of, letting them know, hey, this is what we're going to try right now. And hopefully this is going in the right direction. And keep in touch with me and let me know if this is working for you, how you feel. That's one of the things that has been really important and vital is the communication. Because without the communication, we can't get positive or negative. We can't get anything. So it's really important to listen to our patients, see how they're feeling, see how they're responding, and then go forward with the treatment plan that works for them.
That's really good. That's why in the medical field they ask all those questions.
That is why,
It
yes.
really does mean something, and I think that that will make for a better outcome. And I love the way you keep in touch with those people too, to make sure they're doing okay, make sure
Yes.
it's good.
Every day.
Yeah. So, what about just what you see every day around you? You're such a positive person. Do you feel that energy is there wherever you go, like when you go into the coffee shop or wherever it is? Or do you have to sometimes bring the positivism to the situation?
That's a really good question. I think definitely I carry it with me, and I remind myself the minute I leave my house that wherever I'm going and whatever I went into, it's my choice. It's up to me how I respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very careful and clear about how I respond to someone I may run into. I might run into a patient. I might run into a stranger. I might run into someone who has seen a show from the theater. But the bottom line is, as a sort of ambassador of a positive attitude, I want to make sure that anybody I run into only experiences a positive engagement with me. So that could be the checkout person. That could be the person that I'm saying, hey, where can I find the Band-Aids? Whatever. So yeah, it kind of, you kind of have to decide how you're going to go out into the world.
Right.
You know, you choose, we choose. It's our choice how we go out into the world. And so when you leave your garage or you leave your driveway, it's up to you what you are going to give or leave with everyone around you. That's up to you. And I choose to try really, really hard to make a difference in a positive way.
Some people listening to this podcast will, of course, be inspired by you, but may say, everything can't be perfect. So tell us about some times in your life that were really challenging. I'm sure you had some of those too, right?
Absolutely. I think every single one of us has challenging times. And by all means, as you said, things are not perfect, ever. I don't think that's what life's about. But anyway, I personally, I had, I lost a child when she was 5 years old. And I lost my mother when she was young and I was young. Divorce, there are a lot of things out there that are challenging to deal with. And I think that those things kind of build us on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of not just give us strength, because there's so much that you go through when it comes to loss. And I think that through each thing, we have to, again, kind of soak it in. We don't really have a choice. I mean, it's happening. So we kind of soak it in and we decide how we're going to go forward. After I lost my daughter, it was very important that, because I had a son who was, 2 years younger than her. So it was very important that I still was a good mother to him, but also that, he was aware, even though he was super little, he was aware when I was sad, even though I tried to hide it from him. And so he would say, mommy, are you sad? Do you miss Steffi? And he would pat my back. And he was just little. He was 3 years old. And I'd say to him, yes, I miss Steffi. And he'd say, Mommy, look, there's Stephanie's star. And I would say, yeah, Steffi's star. And she's looking down on both of us, and she's with us always. And it's going to be okay, which is something that my mother used to say. She used to tell me, and my sister as well, that, whatever we're going through, it may be rough, tough, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be okay. And so I've kind of tried to work that through everything with, my son and my family. And my sister, I think, is the same way. She's got 3 great kids and grandbabies, and we've tried very hard to be positive and work through that similarly.
Yeah. I love that thought that your mother had of it's going to be okay. I think that's a good way to look at that. And with losing a daughter, someone was saying to me one day that that's the type of thing when you lose a child and some other things that you go through, that you never get over it, but you do get through it. I
think that's so important. I think that, loss is a lot to get through. And myself and 2 of my cousins were diagnosed with breast cancer within 2 years of all 3 of us, from 3 different moms, 3 different sisters. And we went through that together. And that was just fairly recent. So I think that we all 3 definitely chose to be positive together. The 3 of us, both of my cousins, they sent bracelets so that all 3 of us would be joined together in the strength and in the fight to conquer and to win and to stay alive and to do whatever we could. And again, I think that, it may not have, for a lot of my friends, it doesn't turn out that way. Unfortunately, I have friends even recently that I have lost to this horrible, horrible disease. And even then, there has to be a way to find the positive. Mm-hmm. And it's not just what they left behind. It's not just the amazing women that they were. It's the steps that we take to go from there, not just to remember them, but to continue their legacy, continue the fight, and go forward in what we can learn, and the energy that we can put forward, and the positive attitude that we can put forward, even the field of medicine, everything, to come to a new place when it comes to even the field of breast cancer.
That's a good way to put that. Where you come, the new place that you are. It's like, I guess in life we have all these chapters, and not all of the chapters will be completely positive. There'll be challenging situations, but there is that new chapter awaiting, and how we're going to handle that. So, well, thank you so much for your thoughts on positivism. I'm sure you've motivated some people today, and appreciate that so much. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with in terms of that subject?
No, it's been great being on with you, and I so appreciate your positive attitude and your outlook on things. And so it's always fun to chat with you and have lunch. And
thank you very much. You may wonder why we have lunch. I'll tell you that story too, because I told you she's such an angel, and she mentioned that she gives 1,000% on stage, but there's another place she gives 1,000%, and that is about 2 years ago. I coded twice, almost died twice, and she was there to perform CPR. and to help me come back to life. So that's why we have our lunches every time I'm in her city. I want to take her to lunch and thank her again for allowing me to live these next chapters of my life and find out what awaits me next. So I thank you very much and send my love to you every day for that.
And my pleasure. And I send my love and hugs to you. And the world needs you so much. So don't be going anywhere, especially without letting me know where you are.
That's right. That's right. You keep tabs on me, so that is good.
Yes, I do.
Well, thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate that so much. Also, a salute to Storm Cloud for putting these podcasts together. You can now find our Level Up video podcast on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and now Google Play. And each time, we usually end with a challenge for you. So today, I'd like you to think about how positive you are. If we had a scale from 1 to 5, where would you be? 1 is not so much. 5 is exuberant and very positive. It is contagious. And so I think as we try to level up to get to our next levels, we have to remember that it's the positivism that helps us through life and the positivism that gets things done. It gets results. And we so much want to be around those people. How many people are you around that are positive? And I guess the challenge is, should you surround yourself with some more positive people? Imagine what you could make happen if you would do that. So this is Dan Chiodo, your host for Level Up, and see you next time. Cheers.